Alright, we now head to the platform, the JForex 4, to see how things are shaping up in lead up to the FOMC's monetary policy announcement. The Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates by 50 basis points. Things are likely to be more optimal for the. Now, if we look at the Euro USD price action here, in today's session, it is trading closer to yesterday's high. It started the day after this long consolidation with the price hovering above 1.06, and after that it has of US CPI release in which we got the reading which was less than expected, and as a result of that the US dollar went session is going to begin. We can expect some 20-30 pips move on in the direction of the trend, but around those level. Now, if we have to look at the strength and see which one is likely to gain or lose the most in the FOMC announcement, then we will have to look at the relative strength and weakness of these currencies. And if we look at the Euro USD price move so far, it has continued to trade with the bullish momentum. And let us see which one is the strongest and which one is the weakest on this bullish side. Just little below 1 percentage point. And if we compare these gains to what we are seeing in Euro USD, these are rather substantial. So here the AUD in today's session also is trading a lot stronger compared to Euro USD. And moving forward also I am expecting the AUD to lead in terms of its bullish momentum. And if you see the price move on the higher side after the release of the FOMC monetary policy statement, I think AUD USD is better placed for a buy trade compared to what we are seeing in Euro USD. So AUD in today's session also in lead up to the meeting is appearing more stronger on the bullish side compared to Euro. Euro is trading in a sideways manner with the underlying bias on the bullish side. But if we look at the AUD USD's price move, it has after correcting, it has gained substantially, and now it is hovering closer to the day's high point, little below that, but still the momentum is on the higher side. But of course, a lot is going to depend on how the price initially reacts to the Fed's monetary policy release, and as the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates by 50 basis points, it will be interesting to see how market forces react. Maybe we can see some correction also, the dollar can gain, but that is into the future. It is very hard to predict what is going to happen. Only thing we can do is look at the relative strength and weakness at the moment, and then maybe after the clarity emerges regarding the trend after the release, we can keep this assessment in mind while making the trading decision. So here the AUD USD is apparently stronger on the bullish side compared to Euro USD. Now looking at the GBPUSD price formation, the GBPUSD has corrected after making this high at 1.24. It is almost 40 pips lower, 30 pips lower at the moment from the day's high. And if we look at its prior price formation, the GBP made this fresh swing low after the start of the European trading session. So this is a major difference compared to AUD, and AUD on this count is trading with the stronger bullish sentiment compared to GBP and the Euro. Now we have to decide which one, the Euro or the GBP, is trading in a more bullish fashion, and on that count the GBP is still leading the Euro in terms of both the gains as well as the timelines of its gains is showing that GBP is apparently on the stronger footing compared to Euro, but AUD is leading the both. So if you have to go for the buy trade and expect the dollar to remain weaker for next couple of hours, the AUD is clearly the better bet. And since we are not expecting any big price move, I think it is better to sit on the sidelines, and even after the release of the Fed's monetary policy, as things will become much more clearer, then we can keep this thing in mind where AUD is apparently stronger and it is on the better footing compared to Euro and the GBP both. Now let's compare the remaining of these currencies, and here the NZD/USD is on the weaker side. It is trading with sideways momentum with slight bullish bias, but not much so. And if we look at its price move since the yesterday's CPI release, it has declined substantially, almost 1 percentage point from that high. So here the GBP is apparently the weakest of four currencies which we have seen so far, with AUD on the strongest side, followed by GBP, then Euro, and NZD is the weakest of these four. So things, if turn out bullish after the release of the Fed's policy, then the GBP should be the choice, and if things turn out bearish after the release, then I think it will be a better idea to trade with the NZD. So in relative terms, we are getting this clarity on which currency cross to target on which side. Now looking at the USD CAD, the CAD also went on to gain, but the gains for the CAD were rather narrow in yesterday's session. And if we look at its price momentum now, it is declining after the rise closer to 1.353, and the CAD is in today's session also appearing on the on the weaker side. So USD is still quite strong against the CAD. And in yesterday's session also, I had given you the analysis inference that the CAD was one of the most weaker currency against the dollar, and that I think is holding true even in today's session. It is apparently on the weaker footing even compared to the NZD, as we have the NZD USD still holding above prior swing lows, but for the CAD it is now rising above this prior swing high. So the CAD's weakness is apparently more pronounced compared to the NZD. Let's compare the USDCHF. USDCHF is still holding strong. The CHF is not that weak against the dollar, and it is trading in line with its European peers. This fresh swing low came in just a while back, and if we compare this timeline with the Euro USD, the Euro USD is off its highs for almost 3 hours now, but for CHF, the low just came in couple of hours, not couple of hours, here almost 30 to 40 minutes back. So CHF is much more stronger compared to the Euro as well as GBP. Now we have to compare it with AUD, and AUD is also off its highs. So on this count, in immediate price action series, we have CHF as the strongest bait for the continuity of the bullish momentum against the dollar of these major currencies, and we have CAD to be the most bearish one of all the major currencies which we have seen so far against the dollar. So yeah, the CHF ranks best on the bullish side. And for this chart to load, I think the internet connectivity is a bit slower. Let me refresh it with the higher time frame. Okay, so here we got the chart, and USDJPY, just like yesterday, is also holding its momentum on this declining phase. The JPY was one of the strongest currency in yesterday's decline, and that is, I think, holding true in today's session also. But after forming this low at 134.5, it has corrected somewhat, and for last 3 to 4 hours it has gone more of a sideways. So in last 4 5 hours it is not displaying exactly fresh momentum on the lower side, on the on the levels closer to 135. It is going sideways, so we will have to place it somewhere in between the CHF on the best spectrum, the best side for the bullishness against the dollar, and the CAD to be the worst one on the bullish spectrum. So here the JPY is going to rank in between. Now that we have this much clarity, I think we can make our mind on which side to trade with which currency. So as things are not that much clearer at the moment, and it is better for us to wait it out and wait for the release of the FOMC statement. After that, whenever things look more promising and much more clearer, we can go with the assessment, or also we can take a fresh look on the developments then and there. And after reconciling both these price action series, the timeline of the price action, we will be in position to judge for a currency cross to trade with. Now let's shift our attention to the equity segment. On the equity side, we saw in yesterday's session all these gains which resulted after the release of USDCAD were wiped out. Right after that, the gains vanished, and actually it went on to make a fresh swing low for the day. And after that, in anticipation of the monetary policy release, the US futures have gone sideways for the day. There is not much of a price action happening. The range is quite narrow, almost 100 points, little above 100 points, which is expected given the uninterestedness of the market participants. Not many people would like to take big bets at the current price levels, and as a result of that, we have the subdued activity and not much likely to change even after the start of US session. As things stand, I think we do have the possibility of Dow Jones gaining some ground, and maybe it might rise after finding some support closer to the 34,000 level. So that possibility is there, but here we will have to trade with a vision of making some scalping trades. I think it will not be a good idea to go for big swing trades, and big swing trades are not likely to result in much profit, as the markets are likely to see muted price action. So gear up for the start of the North American trading session with these levels in mind. And as long as 34,000 level holds, I think we can still go with the buy stance in this equity segment. And in that case, we have to, of course, analyze the all three major equity indices, and only after that we can say for sure to which currency cross to trade. So here look at this S&P 500 price formation, and there is this fresh swing low formation just hour back. And if we compare it with the price formation of the Dow Jones didn't really make a fresh swing low. And even if we look at this decline in terms of the magnitude, I think the Dow Jones Industrial Average is apparently on the stronger footing. So, keeping these two factors in mind, we will do well to target the Dow Jones Industrial Average for the buy trade, and after that comes in the S&P 500. But let's consider the Nasdaq also before we can say for sure that the Dow Jones should be the first choice. The Nasdaq's decline is also not that prominent, and if we look at the rise after making this swing low, it went on to gain almost half a percentage point. And if we compare it to the price action of the Dow Jones, it is little better compared to the Dow as well. So of these three equity indices for the United States, the Nasdaq is seemingly best placed for any kind of buy trade in these levels, as long as the price action remains sideways around the 11,800. We do have good chance of seeing it rise. If not much, I think it might try to go and get closer to the 11,900, the price action is likely to remain muted, but these levels have some support in place. So because of that, we can take our chances and go for some scalping kinds of trades in this environment of rather muted price activity. So that's my assessment looking at this price action of the US equity futures so far in the day, and also in lead up to the Fed's monetary policy announcement. We have to be cautious and trade carefully for next couple of hours and not expect much big moves. Rather, we are likely to see limited price action, dynamic playing out, and in that sense the scalping is going to be a better choice to work with. So that's all from my side. If you have any query or any idea to share, you can write back to me in the feedback, and I would like to take the discussion forward. Now I'm wrapping up the session. I will be back tomorrow with the fresh assessment of the market depending on how the price action played out for the European trading session in lead up to the North American trading session. And based on that, we will of course be drawing the inference to figure out the relative strength and weaknesses of the major currency crosses and also the equity indices for the US in particular, while taking a slightly glancing look on the European equity segment. So here I'm wrapping up the session now. See you tomorrow.